The Velgris trade station hung in space like a massive steel flower, its petals made of docking bays and market halls. Ships from 1,000 worlds came here to buy and sell, trade and bargain. Daeho guided his old cargo ship, the Myeongsong, toward one of the smaller docking ports. The docking fee ate into his credits, but he had no choice. He needed to sell his cargo of rare minerals and get back home to Earth. The station's interior was chaos. Aliens of every shape and size filled the corridors. Some walked on 2 legs like Daeho, others slithered, floated, or skittered on too many limbs to count. The air smelled strange, a mix of 100 different atmospheres and 1,000 different foods. Daeho had been to Velgris 3 times before, but he never got used to it. He spent the morning negotiating with a Trilaxian mineral buyer. The deal was fair, not great, but fair. His ship's account grew by 15,000 credits, enough for fuel, repairs, and food for the next few months. Daeho allowed himself a small smile. It was honest work, and honest work was hard to find this far from human space. With business done, Daeho decided to walk through the lower markets before heading back to his ship. The lower markets were where the real station happened. Up above, in the clean halls, corporate entities traded in bulk. Down here, individuals sold whatever they could. Daeho had found interesting things in these markets before: strange tools, unusual foods, and once a data crystal containing old Earth music that made him cry. Today, the market seemed darker than usual. Fewer lights, more shadows. The crowd moved differently too, quieter and more cautious. Daeho rounded a corner and understood why. A slave auction. He stopped walking. His stomach turned. Slavery was illegal in human space, and Earth had spent the last century fighting to end it everywhere else. But beyond the reach of human law, in stations like Velgris, the practice continued. Daeho had heard about these auctions but never seen one. He should have walked away. He should have gone back to his ship and left this cursed station. But something made him stop. Maybe curiosity, maybe horror, maybe the part of him that still believed he could make a difference. The auction platform was a raised metal circle. Around it, aliens of various species stood watching. Some looked bored. Others looked hungry in a way that made Daeho's skin crawl. On the platform, a tall being with too many arms was shouting in Galactic Common, the trade language everyone understood. The auctioneer held a chain. At the end of that chain was a small figure. Daeho pushed closer to see. The creature on the chain was unlike anything he had seen before. She stood barely 4 feet tall on 2 legs. Her body was covered in what looked like crystal plates, pale blue and white, forming a kind of exoskeleton. Behind her, 2 wings hung limp and broken. Their translucent surface cracked like shattered glass. Her face was almost human in its basic shape, with 2 large eyes that reflected light like gemstones. Those eyes were empty, staring at nothing. "This is a Kelith," the auctioneer shouted. "Rare species, once famous for their silk production. Observe the crystalline carapace. Beautiful, yes?" The crowd murmured, but no one looked impressed. The auctioneer continued, his voice growing more desperate. "The starting bid is 500 credits. Very cheap. Very affordable. Who wants to start?" Silence. The auctioneer's confidence cracked. "Look, I will be honest with you. This one has some defects. The carapace is cracked. The wings are damaged. She cannot produce silk anymore. But she can still work. She can clean, carry things, operate simple machines. 400 credits. Still no one bid. Daeho felt sick. He was watching someone's life being reduced to a list of defects and abilities. He wanted to leave, but his feet would not move. 300, the auctioneer shouted. 200! Is anyone interested? A large alien in the front row laughed. That thing looks like it will die in a week. Why would anyone waste credits on broken merchandise? Other aliens joined in the laughter. The Kelith on the platform did not react. She just stood there, staring at nothing, as if she had heard these words so many times they no longer meant anything. The auctioneer's expression turned cold. "Fine, if no one wants her, I will dispose of her. There is an airlock nearby. No profit is better than feeding useless cargo." He started to pull the chain, dragging the Kelith toward the edge of the platform. Something broke inside Daeho. "Wait!" he heard himself shout. The crowd turned to look at him. The auctioneer stopped. "I will bid," Daeho said, his voice shaking. The auctioneer's eyes lit up with greed. "Excellent. How much?" Daeho did not think. He could not think. If he thought about it, he would stop. 15,000 credits. The market went silent. Every alien stared at him like he had grown a second head. The auctioneer blinked. "Did you say 15,000? "Yes," Deho said. His heart was pounding. That was everything he had just earned. Everything he needed for fuel, repairs, and food. He was giving it all away for a stranger he did not know from a species he had never heard of. "But sir," the auctioneer said slowly, "I was asking for 200. Are you certain you want to pay 15,000 for this defective unit?" "I am certain," Deho said. The large alien in the front row laughed so hard he had to lean against his neighbor. "The human is insane. He just bought trash for the price of a small ship." Other aliens joined in. The laughter echoed through the market. Some made jokes about stupid humans. Others said this proved why humans did not belong in civilized space. Deho ignored them. He stepped forward and transferred the credits from his account to the auctioneer's. His ship's account dropped to almost nothing. The auctioneer handed him the chain, still looking confused about his sudden fortune. Deho took the chain and immediately removed it from the Calith's neck. She flinched when he touched the collar, but it came off easily. He threw the chain on the ground. "Can you walk?" he asked in Galactic Common. The Calith looked up at him. Those gemstone eyes focused on his face for the first time. She seemed confused, as if kindness was a language she no longer understood. "Walk?" Deho repeated gently. She nodded, a very small movement. "Good," Deho said. "Come with me. Let's get out of here." He turned and walked back through the market. Behind him, the Calith followed on unsteady legs. The crowd parted to let them pass, still laughing at the foolish human who had just bankrupted himself for worthless cargo. Deho did not care. He had no plan. He had no money. He had just done the most financially irresponsible thing in his entire life. But as they walked toward his ship, he felt something he had not felt in years. He felt like he had done the right thing. The walk back to the Myeongsong felt longer than Deho remembered. The Calith followed him silently, keeping a careful distance of about 3 feet. Every time he glanced back to make sure she was still there, she flinched slightly as if expecting punishment for being looked at. Deho's mind was racing. What had he done? He had just spent every credit he owned. His ship needed repairs. The fuel tank was half empty. He had enough food for maybe 2 weeks if he rationed carefully, and now he had another mouth to feed. A mouth belonging to someone he knew nothing about. They reached his ship. The Myeongsong was old, built 30 years ago by a Korean shipyard back on Earth. She was not beautiful or fast, but she was reliable. Deho had owned her for 5 years and she had never let him down. He pressed his palm to the access panel and the cargo door opened with a tired hiss. "Inside," he said, gesturing to the Calith. She stared at the ship's interior like it was a trap. Her whole body tensed. Deho realized the problem. She expected pain. She expected to be locked in a cage or chained to a wall. That was probably all she knew. "It is okay," he said softly. "I will not hurt you." I promise. The Calith's eyes met his. For a long moment she did not move. Then, slowly, she stepped inside the ship. Deho followed and sealed the door behind them. The ship's artificial gravity and atmosphere controls kicked in, adjusting to comfortable human levels. He hoped it was okay for Calith, too. He had no idea what they needed to survive. "This way," he said. He led her through the cargo bay and up a narrow corridor. The Myeongsong was small, designed for a crew of 2 but usually operated by Deho alone. There was a cockpit, a tiny kitchen area, a bathroom, his quarters, and 1 spare room that he used for storage. He opened the door to the spare room. Boxes filled most of the space, containing spare parts, old equipment, and things he had been meaning to sort through for months. "Wait here a moment," he told her. Deho spent the next 20 minutes clearing out the room. He moved boxes to the cargo bay, swept the floor, and checked the small bed built into the wall. The mattress was thin but clean. He found some spare blankets in his own room and brought them over. The Calith watched him work with an expression he could not read. Her crystalline face did not move the way a human face did, but her eyes followed his every movement with intense focus. When he finished, the room looked almost welcoming. Small but private. A person could live here. "This is your room now," Deho said. "You can sleep here. The door locks from the inside, see?" He showed her the control panel. "No one can come in if you do not want them to." The Calith stared at the room, then at him. She opened her mouth as if to speak, then closed it again. "Are you hungry?" Deho asked. Do you eat food? I have rice, some vegetables, protein bars. I do not know what Keleth eats, so you will have to tell me. Food, she said. Her voice was strange, like wind chimes mixed with clicking sounds, but the word was clear enough. Good. Come to the kitchen. He walked back down the corridor. After a moment, she followed. The kitchen was barely large enough for 2 people. Deho opened the small refrigerator and pulled out what he had. Rice from his last trip to Earth, some dried seaweed, a few vegetables that were starting to look sad, a protein bar that claimed to provide complete nutrition for most known species. He heated up some rice and vegetables in the cooker, then set the bowl on the small table. He also put out the protein bar and a cup of water. Try these, he said. Eat whatever you want. The Keleth approached the table like it might explode. She picked up the protein bar first, sniffed it, then took a tiny bite. She chewed slowly, then took another bite. The bar disappeared quickly. She drank half the water, then started on the rice and vegetables. Deho watched her eat and felt a strange mixture of sadness and relief. She was starving. When was the last time someone had fed her properly? When she finished, she looked up at him. Her eyes were a little brighter now, a little more focused. Thank you, she said in halting Galactic Common. Then she added something in her own language, those wind chime sounds. She paused, searching for words. Why you buy me? You give much money. I am worthless, broken, cannot make silk, cannot fly, why? Deho pulled out a chair and sat down across from her. He thought about how to answer. Because it was the right thing to do, he said finally. You are not worthless. You are a person. People should not be bought and sold. But you buy me, she said. The logic was simple and devastating. I know, Deho admitted. I did not have another choice. If I did not buy you, they would have killed you. So I bought you, but not to own you. To free you. Do you understand? She tilted her head, a gesture that reminded him of a confused bird. Free? Yes, free. You can stay on this ship as long as you need. When we reach a safe place, you can go wherever you want. You owe me nothing. The Keleth was silent for a long time. Then she said something that broke his heart. You lie. Everyone lie. You want something. Everyone wants something, I wait. You show true face soon. Deho wanted to argue, to convince her he was different. But what good were words? She had heard words before. Kind words followed by cruel actions. He could see it in her eyes, the deep well of betrayal that comes from having hope destroyed over and over. Okay, he said gently. You do not have to believe me. Just rest, eat, heal, time will show you the truth. He stood up. I need to figure out how to get fuel and food with no money. You should sleep. Your room is safe. I will not bother you. He started to leave the kitchen, then stopped. What is your name? I am Deho. The Keleth hesitated. Hana, she said finally. My name is Hana. Hana, Deho repeated. That is a pretty name. Rest well, Hana. He left her alone and went to the cockpit. His mind was already working on the problem of survival. He had about 500 credits left in emergency funds. Not enough for fuel to reach human space. Not enough for proper food. Not enough for the repairs the ship needed. He pulled up the station's job board on his screen. The listings were grim. Dangerous courier runs through pirate territory. Salvage operations in radioactive zones. Security work for criminals. All paid well, but all could get him killed. He had no choice. He picked the least terrible option. A courier run to a mining colony 3 days away. The pay was 2,000 credits. Enough to keep going. Behind him, he heard soft footsteps. Hana stood in the doorway of the cockpit, holding her blanket around her shoulders like a shield. You really have no money? She asked. I spent it all on you, Deho said honestly. Then how we survive. I will figure it out. I always do. Hana was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I'm sorry. I am worthless and I destroy your life. Deho turned to face her. Stop saying you are worthless. You are not. And you did not destroy anything. I made a choice, my choice. Not your fault, but why? She asked again, her voice desperate now. Why choose this? Why choose me? Deho smiled, though it was a tired smile. Because someone had to. And I was there. Sometimes that is all it takes. Hana stared at him with those gemstone eyes. For the first time, Deho saw something new in them. Not trust, not yet, but maybe the smallest beginning of hope. Sleep, Hana, he said. Tomorrow we have work to do. She nodded and disappeared back down the corridor. Deho heard her door close and lock from the inside. He turned back to his screen and accepted the courier job. The Myeongsong systems acknowledged the contract. 3 days to the mining colony. 3 days to prove he could keep them both alive. He leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. What had he done? But even as he asked himself that question, he knew he would make the same choice again. 3 weeks passed. The Myeongsong drifted through space, taking whatever jobs Daeho could find. Courier runs, small cargo deliveries. Once he helped repair a communications relay for a lonely station keeper who paid in food and fuel. The work was hard and the pay was never enough. But they survived. Hana slowly emerged from her shell. At first, she barely spoke. She stayed in her room most of the time, only coming out to eat when Daeho called her. She moved like a ghost through the ship, always keeping her distance, always ready to run. Her eyes followed him constantly, watching for the moment when his kindness would reveal itself as a lie. But the moment never came. Daeho treated her the same every day. He offered food without demanding work. He spoke gently and kept his distance. He asked permission before entering common areas where she might be. Slowly, so slowly, she began to relax. One morning, Daeho found her in the kitchen before he woke up. She had made rice using his cooker. It was a simple thing, but it meant she felt safe enough to use his equipment without asking. That small act made him happier than any successful job. "Good morning," he said. Hana jumped slightly, then relaxed when she saw it was him. "Good morning. I make rice. Is this okay?" "Of course," Daeho said. "This is your home too. You can cook whenever you want." The word home seemed to surprise her. She looked around the small kitchen as if seeing it for the first time. They ate breakfast together. Hana was getting better at using chopsticks. She had laughed the first time she tried, a sound like musical bells that startled both of them. She had not laughed again since, but Daeho hoped she would someday. After breakfast, Daeho was checking the ship's systems when Hana appeared in the cockpit doorway. She was holding something in her hands, a small cloth bundle. "Can I show you something?" she asked. Of course. She sat in the co-pilot chair, something she had never done before. Carefully, she unwrapped the cloth. Inside was a small object that glowed with soft blue light. It looked like a crystal shaped like a teardrop. "This is Memory Stone," Hana said quietly. "From Kalara. My homeworld. All Keyleth children get one when they born. It holds family history, stories, songs I keep hidden for many years. Afraid slavers will take it." Daeho looked at the stone with wonder. "It is beautiful." "I want to show you," Hana said. "Show you where I come from, so you understand what you save. Not just broken slave, broken person with history." She pressed her hand to the stone. The blue light grew brighter, and suddenly the cockpit was filled with images. They were not solid, more like light and shadow, but clear enough to see. Daeho saw a world of crystal towers and flowing silk bridges, cities that looked like they were grown rather than built, organic and beautiful. The sky was pale purple and 2 moons hung close to the horizon. Keyleth moved through the cities, their crystalline bodies catching the light, their wings creating rainbows as they flew. "Kalara," Hana said, her voice thick with emotion. "Before the war, before the Vorgash came," the images shifted. Now Daeho saw workshops where Keyleth wove silk on great looms. The silk glowed with inner light, showing patterns that seemed to move and change. He saw schools where young Keyleth learned to fly, their wings catching the air for the first time. He saw families gathering for meals, their wind chime voices creating harmonies. "We were artists," Hana said. "Engineers, builders. Our silk was famous in 100 systems. Not just beautiful, strong, could conduct energy, store data, heal wounds. Our architects designed buildings that last 1,000 years. We were happy. We were free." The images darkened. Now Daeho saw ships appearing in the purple sky, huge ugly ships covered in weapons. He saw explosions, crystal towers falling, Keyleth running, their wings burned, their bodies broken. "Vorgash Collective came 30 years ago," Hana continued. "They want our resources, our minerals, our knowledge. They did not ask. They did not trade. They just take." The images showed Keyleth being herded into cages. He saw the Vorgash, massive armored beings with no faces, only dark visors. They moved through the crystal cities like a plague, destroying everything beautiful, taking everything valuable. "They make us slaves," Hana said. "Use us to mine our own planet. Work us until we die, then bring new slaves. I was child when they take me. 8 years old in human years. I watch my mother die in mines. Watch my father killed when he tried to protect me. Watch my sister taken away. Never see her again. Daeho felt his throat tighten. He wanted to say something comforting, but what words could possibly help? The images continued. He saw Hana, younger, her crystalline body still whole and undamaged. He saw her forced to work in toxic environments, her wings slowly cracking from exposure to harsh chemicals. He saw her beaten when she worked too slowly. He saw other Keyleth dying around her, their bodies thrown away like trash. I survived 22 years, Hana said. 22 years in hell. My wings break. My body crack. I lose ability to make silk. When Keyleth cannot work, they sell us to other slavers. I've been sold 7 times. Each time new pain, new suffering. I forget what it feel like to be person. I become thing object, worthless object nobody want. The images faded. The cockpit returned to normal. Hana was crying, her tears looking like liquid crystal as they ran down her face. That is why I not understand you, she said. You spend everything for worthless thing. Make no sense. Nobody do this. Nobody kind for no reason. There must be trap. Must be trick. But you keep being kind. Every day. Every day you treat me like person. And I not know what to do with this. How to understand this. Daeho reached out slowly, telegraphing his movement so she could pull away if she wanted. When she did not move, he gently put his hand on her shoulder. Her crystalline carapace was warm under his palm. You are not worthless, he said firmly. What happened to you was evil. The Vorgash are evil. The slavers are evil. But you survived. You are still here. Still alive. That takes incredible strength. That makes you strong, not worthless. But I am broken, Hana said. Cannot fly. Cannot make silk. What use is Keleth who cannot do Keleth things? You are more than your abilities, Daeho said. You are a person with thoughts, feelings, dreams. You are someone's daughter, someone's sister. You are Hana, that is enough. That is more than enough. Hana looked at him with those gemstone eyes. On Earth, all humans like you? Daeho laughed, but it was a sad laugh. No, humans can be terrible too. We have done terrible things to each other throughout our history. Slavery, war, cruelty. We are not perfect. But some of us try to be better. Some of us believe that every person has value, no matter what. You are strange human, Hana said, but there was almost a smile in her voice. I will take that as a compliment. They sat in silence for a while. Then Hana spoke again, her voice stronger now. Daeho, I want to ask something. You say I can leave any time, that I am free. But I have nowhere to go. Kalara is destroyed. My people are scattered or dead. I have no family, no home. So I want to ask, can I stay? On your ship? I can work. I can clean, help with repairs, cook food. I can earn my place. I not want to be burden. You are not a burden, Daeho said, and you do not need to earn anything. But yes, you can stay as long as you want. I would be happy to have company. The ship gets lonely sometimes. Hana nodded, relief clear on her face. Thank you. For everything. For buying me. For being kind. For listening to my story. For treating me like person. I not forget this ever. You are welcome, Daeho said simply. That night, Hana did not lock her door. It was a small thing, but it meant everything. It meant she was starting to trust, starting to heal, and Daeho realized something important. He had not saved Hana just for her sake. He had saved himself too. For 3 years, he had been drifting through space alone, doing meaningless work, living day to day with no real purpose. Now he had a purpose. Now he had someone who needed him. They were both broken in different ways, but maybe together they could become whole again. The Myeongsong died 3 days later. Daeho had been expecting it. The old ship had been held together by hope and spare parts for the last year. But when the main engine finally gave out with a sound like a dying animal, he still felt his heart sink. They were halfway to their next delivery when it happened. One moment they were cruising through normal space. The next moment every alarm in the cockpit was screaming. Daeho's hands flew across the controls, but it was useless. The engine was dead. Completely dead, what happened? Hana asked, appearing in the cockpit doorway. Engine failure, Daeho said, forcing himself to stay calm. We are stuck. Stuck? In space? For now. Let me check the emergency systems. The good news was they had life support and communications. The bad news was they were 3 days from the nearest station and had no way to move. Daeho pulled up the navigation charts and felt a small relief. There was a small colony world called Threshold only half a day away. If they sent a distress signal, someone might come help them, if they could pay for the help. Deho checked their account. 800 credits. Not enough for a tow, definitely not enough for engine repairs. A new engine would cost at least 50,000 credits. A used one, maybe 20,000 if he was lucky. How bad? Hana asked. She was learning to read his expressions. Very bad, Deho admitted. We need help and we have no money to pay for it. I am sorry, Hana said automatically. This is my fault. If you not buy me, you have money for repairs. Stop, Deho said firmly. This is not your fault. The engine was old. This was going to happen eventually. We will figure it out. He sent out a distress signal, then contacted Threshold Colony directly. After 20 minutes, a voice responded. It was rough and tired, speaking in heavily accented Galactic Common. This is Threshold Control. We receive your distress. What is your situation? Engine failure. Need tow and repair. Can you help? We can send a tug. Cost is 2,000 credits. Deho winced. I only have 800. Can we work out a payment plan? There was a long pause. Listen, friend. Threshold is a poor colony. We barely keep ourselves running. We cannot give free tows. But I tell you what. We need help with something. If you help us, we forget about the tow fee. Deal? What kind of help? We have been raided by pirates. Vorgash raiders. They hit us every few weeks, take our supplies, hurt our people. We try to fight back, but we are just miners and farmers. We need someone who knows how to set up defenses, maybe scare them off. You military? No, Deho said. But I can help. I will do it. Good. We send the tug now. The tug arrived 6 hours later and pulled them to Threshold. The colony was small, just a collection of prefab buildings on a dusty planet with a thin atmosphere. About 300 people lived here, mostly families trying to make a living mining rare earth elements. The colony leader was a Trilaxian woman named Bora. She was old, her blue skin wrinkled with age, but her eyes were sharp and kind. She met Deho and Hana at the landing pad. Thank you for coming, Bora said. We are desperate. The Vorgash have been bleeding us dry for months. If we cannot stop them, we will have to abandon the colony. Tell me everything about their attacks, Deho said. Bora led them to the colony's small command center. It was just a room with some computers and communication equipment. She pulled up records of the raids. They come every 2 weeks, she explained, always at night. 4 or 5 raiders in light armor. They know where we store supplies and they take food, medicine, fuel. Last time they hurt one of our children. We cannot keep living like this. Deho studied the records. The raids followed a pattern. Same entry point, same tactics, same timing. The Vorgash were treating this like a routine supply run, not even bothering to change their approach because no one fought back. He felt Hana move closer to look at the screen. She made a small sound, almost a whimper. Deho glanced at her and saw her whole body was shaking. Hana, are you okay? Vorgash, she whispered. The same ones who destroy Kalara. Same armor markings. I recognize them. Bora looked at Hana with sudden interest. You are Keleth? I thought your people were all gone. Most are, Hana said quietly. I am slave for many years. Deho, free me. Bora's expression softened. I am sorry for what happened to your people. The Keleth were wonderful beings. I visited Kalara once long ago before the war. I saw your crystal cities. They were the most beautiful things I ever saw. Hana's eyes widened. You saw Kalara? When it was still alive? Yes, child. 50 years ago. I was young then, traveling with my merchant family. We bought silk from your artisans. I still have a piece of it, kept safe all these years. Bora smiled sadly. It was a treasure of the galaxy. What the Vorgash did was unforgivable. Hana looked down at her broken wings. I wish I could remember it better. I was so young when they came. Deho felt anger building in his chest. The Vorgash had destroyed an entire civilization and now they were here, bullying a small colony of innocent people. Someone had to stop them. I have an idea, he said, but I need to know the layout of your colony and I need everyone's help. Whatever you need, Bora said. For the next 2 days, Deho worked with the colonists. He was not a soldier, but he knew how to think strategically. More importantly, he understood something about bullies. They relied on fear and predictability. Change those factors and bullies became cowards. Hana helped more than he expected. She knew Vorgash tactics because she had survived them for 22 years. She knew how they thought, how they moved, what scared them. They rely on overwhelming force, she explained to the colonists. They attack places that cannot fight back. But if you fight back hard, even once, they usually leave. Not worth the trouble. Together, Daiho and Hana designed a defense. They set up motion sensors around the colony. They positioned the colonists in hidden locations with whatever weapons they had, mostly old mining tools and a few energy rifles. They rigged lights to come on all at once, blinding anyone with night vision. They even set up speakers to play human battle music at full volume. Music? One colonist asked, confused. Psychological warfare, Daiho explained. Humans have been doing it for thousands of years. Loud, aggressive music scares your enemy and strengthens your courage. Trust me. On the 14th night, right on schedule, the Vorgash raiders came. Daiho watched them approach on the sensors. 5 raiders in light armor carrying energy weapons. They moved with casual arrogance, expecting no resistance. They reached the supply depot where the colonists kept their food and medicine. Daiho pressed a button. Every light in the colony blazed on at once, turning night into day. The Vorgash froze, temporarily blinded. At the same moment, speakers hidden around the colony started blaring human heavy metal music at deafening volume. Then the colonists opened fire. The battle lasted less than 5 minutes. The Vorgash, surprised and disoriented, tried to retreat. But Daiho had planned for that too. The colonists had set up barriers that funneled the raiders toward the main gate, where Daiho waited with the colony's only plasma cannon. "Leave," he shouted in Galactic Common, "and do not come back. This colony is under protection now." The Vorgash ran for their ship. They left behind their weapons and one raider who had been injured by mining equipment. As their ship lifted off and disappeared into the night sky, the colonists erupted in cheers. Hana stood beside Daiho, watching the enemy flee. Tears ran down her crystalline face, but she was smiling. For the first time in 22 years, she had fought back against her tormentors. And she had won. Bora approached them, beaming with joy. "You did it. You actually did it." "We all did it," Daiho said. "This is your colony. You defended it. Remember this feeling. Remember that you are not victims. You are survivors." That night, the colonists held a celebration. They shared their food and their stories. Bora pulled Daiho aside and handed him a small package. "For you and Hana," she said. "Open it later." After the celebration, back on the Myeongsong with its newly repaired engine, Daiho opened the package. Inside was a piece of cloth that glowed with soft blue light. Kelith silk, Hana gasped when she saw it. "This is ancient, from before the war. Very rare now." There was also a small data crystal and a note. "This crystal contains information I saved from Kalara's public records," Bora had written. "Coordinates to places where Kelith refugees might have gone. I hope it helps you find your people." Hana held the crystal like it was made of stars. "My people," she whispered. "There might be others alive?" Daiho smiled. "Let's find out." The data crystal revealed 3 possible locations where Kelith refugees might have fled. 2 of the coordinates were in systems that had been conquered by the Vorgash years ago. But the 3rd location, deep in a place called the Varos Nebula, showed no signs of Vorgash activity. Daiho changed course immediately. The journey took 2 weeks. Hana spent every day studying the data crystal, learning about her people's history. She watched recordings of Kelith culture, music, art. She practiced speaking her native language, which she had almost forgotten after so many years of slavery. Daiho noticed changes in her. She stood taller now. Her movements were more confident. The hollow look in her eyes was slowly being replaced by something else. Hope, maybe, or determination. But he also noticed her fear. As they got closer to the Varos Nebula, Hana became quiet again. She spent hours staring out the cockpit window at the swirling purple clouds of gas and dust. "What if they do not want me?" she asked one day. Daiho looked up from his navigation charts. "What do you mean?" "Look at me," Hana said, gesturing to her cracked carapace and broken wings. "I am damaged, broken. What if my own people see me as worthless too? What if they think I bring shame because I survive as slave instead of dying with honor?" "That would be cruel and stupid," Daiho said firmly. "You survived impossible odds. That makes you strong, not shameful. Any Kelith with sense would be proud to know you." "You think this because you are human," Hana said. "You not understand Kelith culture. Before the war, damaged Kelith were pitied. We value beauty, perfection, art. I am none of these things now. Daiho walked over and stood beside her at the window. Then your people need to learn what I learned. That true beauty is not about perfect bodies or unbroken wings. It is about courage, kindness, and strength. You have all of those things. Hana did not answer, but she leaned slightly closer to him. It was the first time she had ever voluntarily moved into his personal space. The gesture said more than words could. 3 days later, they entered the Varus Nebula. The sensors showed a small moon orbiting a gas giant. There were structures on the moon's surface, buildings, power signatures. Life signs, this is it, Daiho said, his heart racing. Hana, I think we found them. Hana stood frozen, staring at the screen. Her whole body trembled. Daiho sent a message on all frequencies using the Kelith language that Hana had taught him. This is the cargo ship Myeongsong. We mean no harm. We are looking for Kelith survivors. Please respond. For a long, terrible minute, there was only static. Then a voice came through the speakers. It spoke in the wind chime language of the Kelith, and Hana gasped. Unknown ship, this is the settlement of New Kalara. Identify yourselves and state your purpose. Hana rushed forward and grabbed the communication device with shaking hands. She spoke rapidly in her own language. The voice on the other end went silent, then responded with what sounded like shock and disbelief. The conversation continued for several minutes. Hana was crying, her tears falling like liquid diamonds. Finally, she turned to Daiho. They want us to land, she said. They want to see me. To confirm I am really Kelith. Then let's go meet your people, Daiho said with a smile. The landing pad was crude, just cleared ground with marker lights. As the Myeongsong touched down, Daiho saw figures gathering. Dozens of them, all Kelith. Hana stood at the cargo door, frozen again. I am scared, she admitted. I know, Daiho said, but you are also brave. You have survived things that would destroy most beings. You can handle this, and I will be right beside you. Hana took a deep breath, then pressed the button to open the door. The air outside was thin but breathable. The moon was gray and barren, nothing like the beautiful world Hana had shown him in her memory stone. But the Kelith who lived here had tried to make it beautiful. They had built structures that echoed the crystal towers of their lost home. They had planted gardens under protective domes. They were trying to survive with dignity. An elderly Kelith approached them. He was taller than Hana, his crystalline body marked with age but still strong. Behind him, dozens of other Kelith watched with wide eyes. The elder spoke in Kelith language. Hana translated, her voice shaking. He says his name is Taman. He was a leader on Kalara before the war. He asks if I am truly Kelith, because I look so different from them. Taman moved closer, examining Hana's broken wings and cracked carapace. He spoke again, his voice gentle but sad. He says he can see I have suffered greatly, Hana translated. He asks where I have been. Hana answered in Kelith, and as she spoke, Daiho watched the other Kelith react. Some looked shocked. Others began to cry. A few turned away, unable to watch. When Hana finished her story, Taman reached out and placed his hand on her shoulder. He spoke for a long time, his voice filled with emotion. He says I am welcome here. Hana translated, tears streaming down her face. He says any Kelith who survived the Vorgash slavery is a hero. He says my suffering is not my shame. It is the Vorgash shame. He says I am home now. The other Kelith moved forward, surrounding Hana. They touched her gently, making welcoming sounds in their musical language. Despite her broken body, despite her scars, they accepted her. They embraced her as one of their own. Daiho felt his own eyes getting wet. He stepped back, letting Hana have this moment with her people. But Taman noticed him. The elder approached and spoke in careful Galactic common. You are human who brought our sister home? Yes, Daiho said. My name is Daiho. Bora sent message ahead of you, Taman said. She told us what you did. How you freed Hana from slavery. How you spent all your wealth to save her. How you protected colony together. This is great kindness. I just did what was right, Daiho said. Taman studied him with ancient eyes. Most beings in Galaxy would not. Most would see broken Kelith and walk away. But humans are different, yes? You have strange custom of helping those who cannot help you back. Daiho smiled. Some humans do, not all. But enough of us, I hope. Come, Taman said. You are guest of honor here. We show you our settlement. Very humble compared to old Kalara, but we do our best. For the next few hours, Taman gave Daiho a tour of New Kalara. The settlement was home to just under 5,000 Keleth, all survivors who had escaped the invasion or been freed from slavery over the years. They lived in careful secrecy, hiding from the Vorgash and other threats. Life was hard here. The moon had few resources. Food was rationed. Medicine was scarce. The Keleth survived through careful planning and mutual support. "We are dying slowly," Taman admitted as they walked through a garden dome. "Our population gets smaller each year. Sickness, accidents, old age. We have few children. In 50 years, maybe there will be no more Keleth in Universe. That cannot be allowed to happen," Deho said firmly. "Your people are too important. The galaxy needs Keleth." Taman smiled sadly. "You are kind to say this. But we are very small now, very weak. We hide because we cannot defend ourselves. And hiding is not living. It is just slower dying." They returned to the central meeting hall where the Keleth had prepared a small feast in Deho and Hana's honor. The food was simple but prepared with care. Hana sat among her people, speaking in her native language, looking more alive than Deho had ever seen her. After the meal, Taman stood and spoke to the gathered Keleth. Hana translated for Deho. "He is telling them about me, about my years as slave, about the Vorgash and their cruelty." The Keleth listened with growing attention. When Hana mentioned how she had helped defend Threshold Colony, several of them leaned forward with interest. Taman spoke directly to Hana now. She looked surprised, then scared. "What did he say?" Deho asked. Hana turned to him. "He asked me to teach them how to defend themselves. He says I survived the Vorgash for 22 years. I know things they need to know. He says my suffering was not meaningless. It gave me knowledge that can save our people." "What do you want to do?" Deho asked. Hana looked around at the gathered Keleth. These were her people. Broken, scattered, dying, but still fighting to survive. Just like her. "I want to help them," she said. "I want my pain to mean something. I want to teach them everything I know so they can survive, so the Keleth do not disappear from Universe." "Then we stay," Deho said. "As long as you need." Hana looked at him with gratitude and something else. Something deeper. "Thank you," she said. "For everything. For seeing value in me when I could not see it myself. For bringing me home." That night, as Deho lay in his quarters on the Myeongseong, he thought about the strange journey that had led him here. He had started as a lonely cargo pilot, doing meaningless work, drifting through space without purpose. Now he was helping to save an entire species, all because he had made one choice in a slave market to see a person instead of a price tag. Sometimes the smallest actions create the biggest changes. Sometimes kindness is the most powerful force in the universe. 4 months passed. The gray moon of New Kalara became a temporary home for Deho and Hana. Every day brought new challenges, new lessons, new growth. Hana transformed before Deho's eyes. The broken, terrified slave who had followed him off Velgris Station was gone. In her place stood a teacher, a leader, a survivor who had found her purpose. She taught the Keleth everything she knew about the Vorgash. Their tactics, their weaknesses, their psychology. She showed them how to hide, how to fight, how to survive when survival seemed impossible. The Keleth listened with desperate attention, knowing this knowledge might be the difference between extinction and survival. But Hana taught them more than just tactics. She taught them something they had almost forgotten. Hope. "I was slave for 22 years, she told a group of young Keleth during one lesson. "Every day I wanted to die. Every day I thought I had no value, no purpose. But I survived. And now my suffering has meaning. It gave me knowledge I can share with you. Pain can teach us. Scars can make us stronger. We must not let the Vorgash destroy our spirits even if they destroyed our world." The young Keleth looked at her with awe. To them, Hana was a hero. Someone who had endured the worst and still found the strength to help others. Deho spent his time helping in different ways. The Keleth settlement was failing in slow ways. Their water recycling system was ancient and breaking down. Their power generators were inefficient. Their communications were vulnerable to detection. Deho used his human engineering knowledge to solve problems. He rebuilt the water system using parts from the Myeongsong. He showed the Keleth how to modify their power generators to be more efficient and less detectable. He set up a better sensor network to warn them of approaching ships. "You are very clever with machines," Taman said one day, watching Deho repair a critical air recycler. "This is human gift, yes? You make things work even when they should not." Humans have always had to make do with less, Deho explained. Earth was a harsh world. We learned to fix things, to improvise, to survive with whatever we had. I guess it is in our nature now. Kelith were not like this, Taman said sadly. We had everything we needed on Kalara. Beautiful world, rich resources, perfect climate. We grew soft. When Vorgash came, we did not know how to fight. We did not know how to survive without our comfort. This was our weakness. You are learning now, Deho said. And you have Hana. She knows how to survive. Because of her suffering, Taman said. This is terrible gift. I wish she never had to learn these things. But she is right. Her pain was not meaningless. It is saving us now. During this time, Deho and Hana grew closer. They worked together, ate together, talked late into the night about everything and nothing. Hana laughed more now. She made jokes. She argued with Deho when she disagreed with him, which made him happy because it meant she no longer feared him. One night, as they sat outside under the strange stars of the Varos Nebula, Hana spoke quietly. Deho, I need to tell you something. What is it? When I first met you, I thought you were either stupid or evil. Nobody spends everything they have for no reason. I thought you would hurt me eventually. I waited every day for the real you to appear. I know, Deho said. You told me this before. But you never changed, Hana continued. Every day you were kind. Every day you treated me like person, not property. And slowly I realized something. You did not save me because you wanted something from me. You saved me because you could not walk away, because seeing someone suffer was more painful to you than losing all your money. She turned to look at him, her gemstone eyes reflecting the starlight. You are a strange being, Deho. You make no sense. But you are also best being I ever meet. You gave me life back, not just freedom, but real life. Purpose, hope. I will never be able to repay this. You do not need to repay anything, Deho said. Your friendship is more than enough payment. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Hana spoke again. There is problem coming. I feel it. What kind of problem? Scouts report strange ships near Nebula Edge. Not Vorgash markings, but moving with purpose. Searching for something. Maybe searching for us. Deho felt cold dread in his stomach. How long do we have? Days, maybe week. Taman is afraid. If they find us, we cannot fight. We have no weapons, no ships, no defense. We will have to run again, but there is nowhere left to run. That night, Deho could not sleep. He lay in his quarters thinking about the problem. 5,000 Keyleth all gathered in one place. If the Vorgash found them, it would be a massacre. But what could one human and a cargo ship do against a military fleet? The answer came to him in the early morning. It was a desperate plan, possibly stupid, but it was the only chance they had. He found Taman and Hana at first light and explained his idea. I will send a message to human space, he said. There is an old law, something called the Refugee Protection Act. It allows humans to claim protection over species facing extinction. If I can get Earth to officially recognize the Kelith as a protected species, they will have to send military support. Taman looked skeptical. Why would humans do this? We have nothing to offer them. No trade goods, no strategic value. Why would they spend resources protecting us? Because it is the right thing to do, Deho said. Because Earth has been where you are now. We have faced extinction. We have been dismissed as worthless by other species. We know what it feels like. Some of us still care about doing what is right, even when there is no profit in it. But will they arrive in time? Hana asked. Vorgash could be here in days. I do not know, Deho admitted, but I have to try. This is the only chance we have. He spent the rest of the day composing the message. He wrote about Hana and her survival. He wrote about the Keyleth culture and their contributions to galactic civilization. He wrote about the Vorgash crimes and the urgent need for protection. He attached Bora's records, Hana's memory stone data, everything he could think of. Then he sent it on every human frequency he knew, marked urgent and for immediate escalation to the Earth government. Now we wait, he said. 3 days passed with no response. The scout reports got worse. Multiple ships were converging on the nebula. They were moving in a search pattern, getting closer to the moon with each pass. On the 4th day, Taman called an emergency meeting. Every adult Kelith gathered in the main hall. The mood was dark. We must evacuate, Taman said. The enemy is too close. We have no choice. Where will we go? Someone asked. There is nowhere left to hide. We scatter, Taman said. Small groups, different directions. Some of us will survive. This is better than all of us dying together. The Keleth began to panic. Families clung to each other. Children cried. They had built a life here, fragile but real. Now they had to abandon it again. Hana stood up. Her voice rang out clear and strong. No, we do not run. Everyone turned to look at her. I ran for 22 years, Hana said. I hid. I survived by being invisible. But I am done running. We are Keleth. We built crystal cities that touched the sky. We created art that made the galaxy weep with beauty. We are not rats that scatter when danger comes. We are people with dignity. But we cannot fight them, someone said. Maybe we do not have to, Hana said. Deho sent message to Earth humans might come. They might help. It is small chance, but it is chance. I say we stay. We stand together. If we die as Keleth, not as frightened refugees. The hall erupted in argument. Some agreed with Hana. Others said she was being foolish. The debate raged for hours. Finally, Taman raised his hand for silence. Hana is right, he said. I am old. I remember Kalara before the war. We were proud people. Strong people. We lost our world, but we do not have to lose ourselves. We stay, we stand together. If humans come, we survive. If they do not come, we die with dignity. The Keleth voted. It was close, but the decision was made. They would stay. That night, Deho stood on the landing pad staring up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Vorgash warships were hunting, and somewhere else maybe, human ships were preparing to answer his call. He felt Hana's presence beside him. Do you think they will come? She asked. I do not know, Deho said honestly, but I had to try. You are too valuable to lose. Your people are too valuable to lose. Hana was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that made Deho's throat tight. You spend all your wealth for me. You give months of your life for me. You risk everything for me and my people, but I'm just broken slave. I am worthless. Why do you do this? Deho turned to face her. He put his hand gently on her shoulder, feeling the warmth of her crystalline carapace. No, he said firmly. You are not worthless. You are the most valuable person I have ever met. Not because of what you can do or produce, but because of who you are. You are brave. You are kind. You survived impossible things and came out stronger. You teach others. You give hope. That is value beyond any price. Hana's eyes shimmered with tears. You really believe this, she said, wonder in her voice. With all my heart, Deho said. Above them, the stars continued their silent watch. Somewhere in that vast darkness, two fleets raced toward the same destination, one bringing death, the other maybe bringing hope. The next day would decide everything. The Vorgash fleet arrived at dawn. Deho saw them on his sensors first. 8 warships, heavy cruisers designed for planetary assault. They moved with terrible confidence, spreading out to surround the moon. There would be no escape this time. He activated the settlement's alarm system. Within minutes, every Keleth was awake and moving to their designated shelters. They had drilled for this moment, but drills were different from reality. Deho could see fear on every face. Hana stood beside him in the command center, her expression calm but her hands shaking slightly. How long before they attack? She asked. They are taking their time, Deho said, watching the tactical display. They think we have nowhere to run. They are probably scanning us, counting how many Keleth are here, planning which ones to enslave and which ones to kill. Taman entered the command center, his old body moving with surprising speed. Any word from humans? Nothing, Deho said. His heart was heavy. He had gambled everything on Earth responding, and they had not. I am sorry. I thought they would come. You tried, Taman said. That is more than anyone else has done for us in 30 years. We die knowing at least one being in universe cared enough to try. We are not dead yet, Hana said firmly. A voice crackled over the communication system, speaking in harsh galactic common. Keleth refugees, this is Commander Breck of the Vorgash expansion fleet. You are trespassing on territory claimed by the Vorgash collective. Surrender immediately, and you will be processed for labor assignment. Resist and we will eliminate every living being on that moon. You have 10 minutes to decide. Taman looked at Deho. What do we do? Before Deho could answer, every sensor on his board lit up at once. New contacts appearing from the edge of the nebula. Large contacts. Moving fast, his heart stopped. More Vorgash? Then he saw the identification signals and almost cried with relief. Human ships, he whispered. They came. They actually came. On the display, 4 ships materialized from faster-than-light travel. 3 were destroyers, sleek and dangerous-looking. The 4th was larger, a carrier with a hull painted the colors of Earth's flag. They moved with practiced precision, forming a defensive wall between the Moon and the Vorgash fleet. A new voice came over the communication system. Female, speaking with authority in Galactic Common. Vorgash vessels, this is Admiral Hyunwoo of the Earth Navy. The Kelith are now under official protection of the human government. Leave this system immediately or you will be removed by force. There was a long silence. Then Commander Breck responded, his voice filled with arrogance. Admiral, you are outnumbered 8-4. Your species has no business interfering in Vorgash affairs. The Kelith are our property. They will always be our property. The Kelith are not property, Admiral Hyunwoo said coldly. They are people, and people cannot be owned. Last chance. Leave now. You cannot win this fight, Breck said. We do not need to win, Hyunwoo replied. We just need to make it too expensive for you to stay. And trust me, Commander, we are very good at making things expensive. The Vorgash fleet opened fire. Daeho watched on his sensors as the battle unfolded. The Vorgash had numbers, but the human ships moved like dancers. They used the nebula's gases for cover, appearing and disappearing, their weapons striking with surgical precision. The human destroyers were smaller than the Vorgash cruisers, but they were faster and smarter. They worked as a team, concentrating fire on one enemy ship at a time. Within 3 minutes, the first Vorgash cruiser exploded. Its reactor breached by a perfectly placed missile strike. The Vorgash tried to adapt, but they were used to fighting opponents who stood still and traded blows. The humans never stayed in one place. They circled, struck, and vanished. It was like watching wolves hunt a herd of buffalo. The carrier launched fighters, dozens of small craft that swarmed the Vorgash like angry insects. They did not do much damage individually, but they distracted and harassed, forcing the Vorgash to split their attention. 2 more Vorgash cruisers went down. Then a 4th. The remaining ships tried to retreat, but the human destroyers cut them off. Commander Breck sent a desperate message begging for mercy. Admiral Hyunwoo's response was ice cold. You gave the Kelith no mercy. You destroyed their world. You enslaved their people. You have earned no mercy from us. However, we are not like you. Leave now and never return to this system. If you do, we will destroy every ship you send. This system is under human protection. Forever. The remaining Vorgash ships fled, their engines burning at maximum as they raced toward the edge of the system. The human ships did not pursue. They had made their point. The command center erupted in cheers. Kelith hugged each other, crying with relief and joy. Taemin collapsed into a chair, his body shaking. We are alive, he said, as if he could not believe it. We are alive. Daeho felt Hana grab his arm. She was laughing and crying at the same time. They came, she said. Humans came. You were right. They came. Admiral Hyunwoo's voice came through the speakers again, this time directed at the settlement. This is Admiral Hyunwoo requesting permission to land and meet with the Kelith leadership. We have much to discuss. 20 minutes later, a human shuttle landed on the settlement's pad. Admiral Hyunwoo emerged, flanked by 2 officers. She was tall for a human, with short gray hair and sharp eyes that seemed to see everything. Taemin, Hana, and Daeho met her at the landing pad. The Admiral approached and offered a formal bow. I am Admiral Hyunwoo of the Earth Navy. On behalf of the human government, I formally declare the Kelith people to be under Earth's protection. We will provide military defense, resources, and technology to help you survive and eventually thrive again. Taemin bowed back, his old body trembling. We are grateful beyond words. But I must ask why. Why would humans do this for us? We have nothing to offer in return. Hyunwoo smiled slightly. Because it is the right thing to do. And because one of our citizens sent a very persuasive message. She turned to Daeho. Captain Daeho, your report created quite a stir on Earth. When people learned about Hana's story and the Kelith situation, there was overwhelming support for action. Your message started a political movement. The Refugee Protection Act has been expanded. Any species facing extinction can now petition Earth for protection. Daeho was speechless. He had hoped for a response, but this? Hyunwoo continued. We are establishing a permanent defense station in this system. We will also send ships with supplies, medical equipment, engineers, and teachers. The Keleth will not be alone anymore. Hana stepped forward. Admiral, I must know. Did you come because Keleth are valuable to humans? Because you want something from us? Hyunwoo looked at Hana with respect. We came because you are people facing genocide. We came because we have been in your position before. Earth was once dismissed as worthless by the galactic community. We almost went extinct several times in our history. We know what it feels like to fight for survival, and we decided long ago that if we ever had the power to help others in that situation, we would. Not for profit, not for gain, but because it is right. She paused, then added, though I will say this, the galaxy is poorer without Keleth. Your art, your culture, your knowledge, these were treasures. We hope that by helping you survive, maybe someday those treasures will exist again. But even if they do not, your lives have value simply because you exist. That is enough. Hana began to cry. Not tears of sadness, but of overwhelming emotion. For 30 years she had been told she was worthless. For 30 years she had believed it. And now here was proof that she had been wrong all along. Daeho moved to her side. Gently, he put his hand on her shoulder. Hana, he said softly. She turned to him, her gemstone eyes shimmering with tears. You gave all your wealth for me, she said, her voice breaking. You gave months of your life for me. You risked everything for me, but I am worthless. I am broken. I cannot make silk. I cannot fly. I am just damaged slave who survived too long. Why did you do all this? Daeho smiled. He had been waiting for this moment, knowing it would come eventually. No, he said firmly, his voice filled with absolute certainty. You are not worthless. You are the most valuable person in the universe. Hana shook her head. How can you say that? Look at me. I am nothing. You are everything, Daeho said. You survived 22 years of hell and came out with your heart still intact. You learned from your suffering and used that knowledge to help others. You taught your people how to defend themselves. You gave hope to 5,000 Keleth who had almost given up. You made me remember why I became a pilot in the first place, to see the universe and help people who need helping. You changed my life. You changed Earth's policy. You saved an entire species just by being who you are. He gently lifted her chin so she was looking directly at him. Your value is not in what you can produce or what you can do. Your value is in who you are. You are brave. You are kind. You are strong. You survived when survival should have been impossible. You are Hana, and that is the most valuable thing anyone can be. Hana collapsed against him, sobbing. Daeho held her gently, letting her release 30 years of pain and shame and worthlessness. Around them, the other Keleth watched with their own tears falling. Finally, Hana pulled back and looked at him. Thank you, she said in perfect Korean, words she had practiced in secret for weeks.